So welcome to a new video. Today we are going to do a roundabout in a part of the city and using, I would almost say, famous bicycle bridge called the Daphne Schippers Bridge, which is going to an area of the city of Utrecht which is called Ogenal. And I wouldn't say it's an island, but it's kind of shaped like an island because it has two canals on one side and a small waterway on the other side, so it's, I guess you could call it an island. And that bridge we are going to see pretty soon, and we're going to pass it several times. And yeah, I didn't know what to film this day. I made this video about 2 weeks ago. It was already getting coldish, but still not as cold as it is now. But it looks cold while sunny. I will make the helicopter view a little bit bigger because this is kind of interesting. You see this weird looking, almost pyramid shaped, or the parasort, or whatever you want to call it, shaped building. We can see it in the real picture and in the 3D view. There's actually a lookout tower over a highway which is below the ground here. So when we are going to our right pretty soon, we will see kind of two tunnels, by the way. The first tunnel we are seeing is basically in the 3D picture on our left, which is a tunnel next to the tunnel. And we are now driving next to the building. We are now actually on top of the highway. And when we're going to the right, below us is a main highway, the A2, which is buried between the two city centers for a few kilometers. And at the end you can see the entrance in the 3D view. I will make it a little bit bigger. So we're now going on this pathway. This will probably stay green indefinitely because they can't put any homes on top of it. It's probably not smart enough if they want to change it. The lookout tower is on top of it, but the rest they will probably keep it like this. So you can see there are some greeneries, there are some soccer fields and some other things on top of it. So you can see there's the smaller road to the right of us. So let's call it an access road, but the main road is below us, and it's quite massive. So, and that's sort of an intro to where we are going, because at some point I'm going to the left, and we are going to use the bridge called the Daphne Schippers Bridge, which is the bicycle bridge which goes over the main canal, the Amsterdam Rijn Canal, which I will talk about a bit, into Ogenal. And that's again called the island, but a suburb called Ogenal, which we are going to try and circle around, which is quite difficult because it's not all bicycle paths, also walking paths. Yeah, it was kind of a nice and sunny day. I think it was a Sunday, I'm not sure when I filmed this. And they made this kind of hilly. I think they did it to create a little bit of a sound barrier from the cars to our left towards the homes. As you can see in the helicopter view, we'll make it a tiny bit bigger. Lots of the area is still shown as empty, while in reality you can see that they are building quite quickly and they're almost finishing up. So we are now going to the left. Sorry about my brakes, they are still kind of new in this video, and then they tend to make a lot of noise. It's a nice bike, but that's one of the things that I need to change at some point. And you can now see we are entering this famous bridge which goes over the canal, which I will talk about more. And enters or is integrated into Ogenal, into a school which they built there. And they didn't have any room to put down a normal, let's say, entrance to a bridge, so they circled it on top of the roof of the school And yeah, we are already seeing one way of looking at this bridge, and I've wrote this quite often, so you've seen it quite often. You can see the name Ogenal on the top of the school. We are circling down, and this is probably not the first time you've seen this, but we're also going to look at it from different angles this time. Because during our about a 45 minutes trip, we are going to pass it several times. Yeah, the brakes are very good on this bike, but they're also very noisy in the first few weeks when they are replaced with new brake blocks. Sorry. So normally I would go further, but now I'm circling around, and we can already see a second view of the school. You can see it's quite an interesting building, and we just came off this top corner there, and you can see that the bridge is totally, yeah, the ramp on top of the school and how that's integrated, which is quite nice. And the bridge is only for bicycles and for walking. And now we are below, next to the school. Maybe on some of the images it doesn't look like a really big school, but it's an okay size, I guess. So we're going a little bit the wrong way, and I will make this a little bit bigger again. And you can see the next is the Amsterdam-Rijnkanaal, which we are going to pass on quite a lot of this drive. And it's quite a big canal. It is the busiest shipping canal in the world. It passes daily about 100,000, yearly, about 100,000 ships. And there's always people claiming it's the busiest, so I did look around a little bit to try to find other canals which are busier, but I think what the Dutch government and the Wikipedia is claiming, that it is indeed the busiest canal in the world. Weirdly enough, on many of my videos we see ships going in it. Today I don't think we see any of them, so which is kind of funny. But it's connecting Amsterdam to the Germany, basically, to the Ruhr area. And that's where most of the heavy industry in Germany is. And yeah, it's about 100 meters to 200 meters wide, depending on where you are, so it's very wide. It's about 9 meters deep, and yeah, and about, I think, 80 kilometers long. I will look at the facts if need be on Wikipedia. I'm going quite slowly here because there's lots of dogs walking around. And of course I'm going really slowly. We like dogs, we don't want to kill a dog during one of our rides. And also, I wouldn't say I'm not supposed to bike here, but probably I'm not supposed to bike here. But that's what we do to make a YouTube video. And one thing when I'm riding around my own city, more and more, is these hidden areas that sometimes I know or haven't seen in a decade or 2 decades. Actually how much hidden greenery there is in the city. And especially on days like this, when people are walking with their dogs. I think he's talking to me that I'm not supposed to ride here. Of course I was braking a lot for the dog. But he had a point, I'm not supposed to ride here. So we are slowly moving around, and we are going to see a lot of boats where people can live on, what we call woonboat, so living boat. And we are going to see quite a few, and somebody asked if you are allowed to live on them, if anybody is allowed to live on them. As far as I know, the answer is yes. And sometimes we see them, but in the 3D picture I will make it a little bit bigger again. You can see them quite clearly. There are quite a few cities in the Netherlands. Sometimes they are placed in to different areas and they add a few, they remove a few. There's probably some organization for it that helps you out fighting governments in getting your boat in a certain place or stuff like that. You can see this part is very tiny, so that was kind of difficult because my idea was I would try to follow the water as much as I can. Although sometimes it's even hard to see that there's water next to us. So we are on one side of our Hogenal, of the area, and our trip, at least first part of the trip, is the Amsterdam-Rijn Canal, so the big canal. And the other one, this one, we are going to head up to soon, is part of the canal that they made first. So the Amsterdam-Rijn Canal was dug in 1892. That was a smaller canal, and that was not deep enough. So after a few centuries, they decided let me start again. So the Merwede Canal was made in 1892, and after a few decades already, they figured out it was too small and they needed a way bigger one, and they made the Amsterdam-Rijn Canal. And that was in the beginning of the last century, in 1930s. So it's that's when they dug the other one, which is massive. So this crossing they just replaced. It's still a busy highway, but a busy way. Making many mistakes today. Sorry about that. It's still quite busy, but it's redesigned to be more safe for bicycles, in my opinion. It's not too bad. Still have traffic lights. Later on we are going to find a place where they actually have removed the traffic lights again. So this is one area that I couldn't stick to the water, so we are going to detour a little bit. You can see on the 3D picture I'm trying to get back to the water side and to the living boats. I actually see some living boats which have solar panels on top of it, which is kind of nice. So leave in the comments if you like the idea of me going to different areas of the city, because I think more and more, especially the older ones, let's say, and the ones from the 50s and the 60s, and the totally new ones have quite a different attitude. So maybe that's an idea. So this was about 3 weeks ago, I decided to on this loop-de-loop around this island. Again, I call it island while it's not an island. But then it hit me, maybe going to different neighborhoods might be a good idea. Also because there's different architecture in different areas. So we're trying to get back to the water side, because on that part I could not ride my bicycle. Again, I'm drinking coffee, like I do more on Sunday when I'm making these videos, or basically making this over voiceovers. So what I do is I have two monitors. I'm watching the video myself, and I record the overview, so the helicopter view, using Google Earth. If you're new to my videos, my bicycle automatically keeps the GPS data, and I can save that to a program called Komoot, and that allows me to extract all the GPS data, and you can load that into Google Earth, which is the desktop version of Google Maps, and then you can create these videos, which I'm now doing. And I need to record that live. I do that in QuickTime, and so QuickTime records the audio and the video. So that means I have to watch it, which is kind of nice. So I watch it, the video, at the same time in Final Cut Pro, which is an editing program, while I'm recording the overlay with the audio, and I can merge them back together later on. So making these videos does take a little bit of time, even though I try to make them quick and not that professional. They end up to taking a few hours to make. So this is a part where we are bicycling quite a lot in my videos, but now I'm entering in a weird exit, and now we are going to follow the water again. And to our left side, if I would take that road, we would go back to the Davene Schippers Bridge, which I'm not going to do now because I try to follow the whole island. And to our right side is the old canal, so the Merwede Canal. And yeah, these are going to join up into a point, which where the two canals come together. And of course, then we can't continue anymore, and we will rotate back into the other part of the island. So as a kid, I was hanging out here, but this was not a favorite spot because there was a factory here, and there was soya beans, and they smelled quite badly. You can still see they left part of the equipment, how they would fill the ships. And for me, one of the reasons why I like to bicycle around and see what's up is to see the changes of the city. And what I find quite funny is that the more I'm riding and trying to come up with new videos, and also to be less bored while riding, is that I find parts of the city that I've not seen before, or never really tried to access by walking or using a bicycle. This is a good example. I don't think I've ever been on this little road before, next to the canal. And what I found interesting here is that you can see that all the people in the boats on the left, where they live, they still have their cars here. So I guess they have to go all the way carefully to the beginning because there's no way they can enter here. And here I actually have to get off my bike because I was not sure if it could, or maybe I'm not getting off the bike. Yeah, I'm getting off the bike. It was quite steep. And I don't want to record me falling. So I guess they have to use the cars to a different side. So we are going to cross this road, which is the same road but then further along, where we just passed before. Go to the other side again. And you would say that this is already quite a reasonable sized canal, especially if you don't have the living boats there. But it clearly was not big enough for the amount of ships that need to go into from Amsterdam to Germany. Again, 100,000 ships a year. So I was looking into the Panama Canal and some of the others to see if there is more traffic, but it looks like this is indeed one of the more busy ones. And we can see when we are using this bike path that in front of us we can already see the bridges, and on a 3D view we can see the point he was talking about. And you can see some sport fields. For Dutch people, that's the Marco van Basten area, which was a famous Dutch soccer player. And we are now entering the point where there is actually a nice restaurant and a drinking hall for lots of students. Probably when I'm bicycling back, put some pictures there, but in the 3D view you can see at some point on the other side these weird looking reddish purplish buildings, and they're actually container based for students. And there you see the yellow bridge we are biking on quite often, and we also pass it later on. But this is the point, and yeah, and there's a lot of if the weather is nice, people are swimming, students are drinking, and yeah, having fun. And we are now actually on the same pathway, and where we are going to enter and find the school again, and slowly you will see the Daphne Schippers Bridge popping up again, and we have completed our loop. Then I decided to continue riding because, well, it was too short for my daily ride. So normally these rides take about an hour maximum. That's not my complete. You can see the crazy amount of bicycle stands here in the grass. Because if students, of course, come here to drink, then they have the bicycles with them. Also, lots of people with dogs on this path. I wouldn't say they were annoyed with me, but they were like, "Yeah, well, we are walking here." But you can see in the tree, the helicopter view, how massive this canal actually is. I guess massive is relative, but it's big. I'm very careful with dogs, so I'm always slowing down a lot when there's. Of course, I slow down also for people, but if there are dogs and on leashes, then I have to be extra careful. I'm not sure what was up with my talking today. I didn't have a drink yet, so that can't be it. And you can see in the 3D view, which I'll make a bigger for a few seconds. The blue line is where we've biked before, so you can see how we came into the area over the bicycle bridge, and now nearing the place that we've already been to, and we'll get pass next to the school. I will also stand still for a few seconds to show you the school from this side. Then we've kind of seen all sides. I said it was recorded on a Sunday. This has to be wrong because I now remember there are actually kids at the school, and they are not going to school on a Sunday. It's not a Sunday school, so I'm not sure what day it was, but it was not busy, and there was quite a lot of people outside walking their dog. I should have looked up what date it was. But again, this is the school, and you can see how nicely this is integrated on top of the roof of the school. I think it's very cool. I think this. I also use this as a screenshot for the video. This is not sort of the normal view you get from this bridge. And in 3D you see it sort of loop around in an interesting sort of way. So you can see how complex the structure actually is. And indeed there were kids at school, so it couldn't have been recorded on a Sunday. You don't have to be feel pity for me to make all these videos, because I only work 3 days a week. So that's why this probably was recorded on a Thursday or Friday. I just forgot about it. And there we can see somebody coming down from the roof and circling down. I'm happy to report that my brakes are getting less loud about now, which is about 3 weeks later. I had to go to Athens in Greece for work. And of course, we have already been on this route before. Oh no, we went the other way. If you see the 3D view, you can see how we just went here and then we're going to pass this road, which they also did, which actually have now traffic lights with 4 areas, one with a timer which sometimes is on. They finished this about 2 months ago. Again, they took more car parts out, added bigger islands in the middle. This was already like this. Again, so this is a bicycle first road because it's red, and cars, I guess. I'm not sure why, but I tend to, maybe this is a sign of the future. Bicycles tend to ride quite fast here because it's nice sort of roadway. But I wouldn't say I've hit 2 people here, but the zebra pads, which are there for people walking, I forgot to brake 2 times already in the last year. That I'm like, ooh, and one person said to me, "Well, hold on, this is a zebra pad crossing for walking," and he was totally right. And 2 weeks ago, I catch myself another time where I wouldn't say it was dangerous, but I was like not being nice because I just forgot that I should brake there. That's kind of interesting. Why, of all the places where bicycles are, these are 2 places where I forget. I'm the only one, or is there something in the design there that goes wrong? We are now next to the soya fabric again, so we've already been here. So that's why I decided to go over this way. We are going over the smaller canal. We are now on a sort of an island in between. I think it was before a way to moor the boats on a different side. You can see there the machine that they use to take the soya beans and stuff out of the ships. And going to the second part. This has been closed for cars for decades, I think. I think the bridges were not able to hold all the weight anymore, and they removed the cars. When I was a kid, there was probably still cars driving over it. But it has been like this for many decades. So we are now going to the right into an area where I grew up. Next to a school again, and here Bilitonkade, which is a small bridge again. There's more of these floating homes. They were going really slow. And my beeping scares people, so it's kind of interesting. So this has been redone, I think, quite recently, and you can already see again the way that they have designed it kind of, I wouldn't say forces cars to slow down, but it's a natural feeling for them to slow down. And further along, so this church is now not being used as a church anymore, but as a hospice on our right. And the church itself is used for events. The Stadsklooster. And we see our first oliebollenkraam. We will explain it later. This is an interesting crossing. The usual traffic lights here, they removed it a few weeks ago, and you can still see that they are rebuilding it. And this is an example of quite a busy road before, which they are now redesigning to calm the traffic, and there's very little room for the driving cars. And again, bicycles are now owning this street in a way. Maybe it doesn't look like it, but it's kind of true. I have to go to the corner now because they're still doing the part in front of us. It was quite a busy road before. And Kanaalstraat, which they are now redoing. This is actually an interesting street because as far as I can remember, it was always like this. So this is probably one of the first cities in this neighborhood which they use traffic calming by creating these chicane kind of structures. So these S-curves where cars have to slow down and they can't sort of race through the street. You see that more and more, but I was thinking when they've done this, and my memory, it's been at least 30 or 40 years like this. I could be wrong, but that's my gut feeling. Now I should have gone to my left, but I'm going to my right because I wanted to bicycle next to the railway back into the new area of the city. So we are now on the Vleutserweg again, which is the main way to connect the old part of the city to the new city part. And in front of us, I will make it bigger on the 3D picture. This is the Moskeeplein, and it has the biggest mosque in the Netherlands, which is kind of a nice, I find it a nice building. It's probably difficult to see, so I'll make it bigger in the 3D view. Today I'm not going to pass it, but you can see it in the 3D view. And above that you see the central station again, so this is in the center of the city. But we are going to our left because I want to follow the train tracks. And you can see in the 3D view now quite nicely I'll make it bigger now because we are waiting for the traffic light anyway. And you can see on top the weirdly Google Maps make it dark. I think for security reasons or safety reasons, they darken all the train tracks. So that's why they look a little bit weird, but these are the train tracks. And you can see that the mosque at the bottom actually has an eating place where you can get food. And there's some other parts of the building being used for different things. There's actually one area for all religions. The mosque put it in there. So. And we are now going onto our left into kind of a weird side path because this was added later on. They needed more bicycle, let's say bandwidth is probably a good word for it. For bicycles from the old part of the city to the new part of the city. So they changed this lane, which was already there, but they made it more, let's say, focused for bicycles again. It's a bicycle first street, and it's almost like, I am doing air quotes, a bicycle highway to the new part of the city. And in the morning this is quite busy with bicycles. And it's next to the rail tracks. If this is your first video about Utrecht, you're probably for some reason interested in Utrecht. Utrecht is the busiest train station in the Netherlands. It has like 21 train tracks in the station. It's in the middle of the country of the Netherlands, so it makes sense that this is the busiest place where every different route is connected to each other. Amsterdam is also quite big, but not as big as Utrecht in this area. Utrecht itself is the one of the four big cities, So you have Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague, and Utrecht. And they combined, they're also called the Randstad. And I'm guessing at some point, or even if you're an outsider, things are so close together, you could almost argue that it's becoming one city. Maybe at some point in the future it will be considered one city. One of my schools, I had quite a few schools, not because I was bad, but I just did a few. And the building on our right side now, it's a different building, but my first education was as a car mechanic, which I finished. So I'm officially a car mechanic, but I don't have a driver's license. I don't have a car, but I have bicycles. And yeah, it was over there. So I grew up in, basically kind of grew up in a garage. My dad used to work for a French car company called Citroën. And so it makes sense that I went to school to become a mechanic. But in the 80s, beginning of the 80s, I guess, 81, I got involved with electronics and computers. You would hardly call them computers these days. They had 2 kilobytes of memory. But I got involved in that, and slowly I started doing other stuff. So I studied electronics and then went to computer science. I started working for the national television station to set up their internet department. And the rest is history. Well, everything is history, I guess. But so you can see this is quite a straight road from the old part of the city to the new part. Again, this is also a road they are now redesigning. A road we just passed. Totally useless information, but on the right side, in the second building, second row of homes, is where my grandma used to live. And over here was actually a nice, it was not a Shell station, maybe it was Shell. I think it was Shell. Kind of where the bicycle in front of me was. And we used to get candy there when we were going to grandma. And in front of us, the thing with the pipe is the Douwe Egberts, which is the biggest coffee brand in the Netherlands. And you find them all over the world, but this is their headquarters. And where they make all the coffee for at least the Netherlands. So in a good day you can smell the coffee. And we are going up to the yellow bridge, what the younger generation calls it, because it's now yellow. It was white before, the old bridge, but the new bridge, put in the new bridge about 20 years ago. And now it's called the yellow bridge. The old people still call it the coffee bridge, because of the Douwe Egberts. If you've seen many of my videos, sometimes I will repeat myself. I probably told this before. What I find fascinating here is about 20 years ago, when my dad was still alive, we used to talk about how this part of the city would evolve. And this road we are now on is actually quite straight from how they planned it about 30 years ago, how they made it now. So I find it kind of fascinating because again we are now crossing the Amsterdam-Rijn Canal, which we talked about before. And to our left, we have the little island with the hangout for the students. But this road is quite straight, and if you consider they planned this about 30 years ago, and you see how it now all ended up, it's kind of good design. And you can see in the 3D image that the two bigger bridges, have been put there in the last 20 years. So I've seen them put both of the bridges in, and the middle one was put in last. So that's a new one for the train tracks. And yeah, they put it in about, I don't know, 12 years ago, something like that. I have to look at my pictures. And we can see everybody just on their bike doing their thing. So the Uber Eats is already out. Uber Eats is quite small here. We have a different one, which is the market leader. I've said this before. You can see that the infrastructure here is quite. This part of the city is quite complex and quite good. You don't really see it when you're bicycling, but if you look at the helicopter view, you can see how many lanes there are and the different pathways and the trains, and of course the railway station. You can see it already in the 3D view a little bit. So this is parking area here, and we're going to pass the road again, which is below the ground, and also the parking is below the ground. And we are going to ride through the we're almost at the end of the video. We are going to ride through the city center, the new city center, a little bit. So on our right you see the bus station. We are now again on top of the highway. It's kind of weird that you're thinking you're going over a 12-lane highway. It ends up a few hundred meters to the right side is the exit. We are now entering in the Leidschijn Centrum. And this makes me kind of think of Spain, especially Barcelona. You can see in the helicopter view, they have this same sort of blocks, which you see in Barcelona quite a lot. Sort of living areas with shops and people living above them. And they give them, it gives me a Spanish vibe, let me say it like that. And we will see our second oliebollenkraam, which is one of the desserts that we take during Christmas and Oud en Nieuw, so New Year. And here you can see the oliebollenkraam, which is over here. You see them all over the city. I think we passed 3 already. So I've talked about this before. So this shopping area, below ground, there's a second loop for trucks, and from the tunnel we've seen before. So not the tunnel with the highway, but the other one, which is next to it. In the tunnel, trucks and small delivery vehicles can enter the tunnel right underground to the city center, and there they can take their goods out, and using lifts they go up to the different stores. So there's no big lorries and trucks in the area itself. They're supplied from the bottom up. So we are nearing the end of this video. It's probably not my best commented one. Sorry about that. Many small mistakes. But I hope you enjoyed it anyway. And hopefully you see what I mean. Of course there's not much green leaves, but you can see that there's a lot of time being spent in making these bicycle paths quite nice, and with lots of trees and stuff. And you can also see that this new area, why I say it makes me feel of Barcelona, at least the building blocks, let's call them blocks, Not sure what they call them in Spain. But on 3D view you can also see the same sort of things. And if you look at the Google Maps of Barcelona, you will see what I mean. And some of the shapes of the balconies is quite playful and different. And about 200-300 meters in front of us is the begin point of this bicycle ride. You can already see it on the helicopter view. And we are going to ride up to the end of this lane. I would almost call it the oldest building here. It's a temporary building, which is basically an art exhibit, which they used to put art in. And you can see that it looks like two blocks which are stacked together. We are now approaching it. And I was thinking about this, and this is kind of the oldest sort of structure around us, because all these homes, like what we are looking at now, I think there's been finished this year. And, so this building, which we now slightly see on the right side, you see there's two blocks stacked together. It's probably been here for, I guess, about 20 years. So most of the buildings around here have been quite new. So yeah, thank you for watching. This is the end of the video again. I'm not sure when the next one will be, because of course it's getting winter time, and here you can see why we dislike scooters. In that case, at the end of the video. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.